following year after losing Luca, we were blessed with another son. I named him Kai. He is my motivation. He gets me up in the morning. My boys are my inspiration for everything that I do. They are literally the ones that keep me going. When Kai was born, we knew that we wanted him to learn that he had an older brother. So we, as he was a toddler, ensured that he knew that he had the older brother who was a star in the sky. So when the stars were out and he was a toddler, he'd say, "Hi, Luca," and he'd point up to the stars. But when he was about 4.5, he'd just started reception. And he asked, why did Luca die? This was a very difficult conversation to have, but we knew it would come one day. I could simply only tell him his heart had stopped. That led on to an extended conversation, as these things do with children. He then inspired me to write a book called Why Did Grandad Die? I realised from that conversation, children need something visual to understand what loss is. And it protects their mental health at the same time. The aim is to have this book go into primary schools across the UK. It's been designed in a way with an ex-head teacher that it is school friendly. And it will help children up to the age of 9, 10. I'd like to invite Holly Matthews. Holly sadly lost her husband Ross in 2017, and she had to break that devastating news to her little girls. Holly, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
How would a book like this have helped that conversation with the girls?
Well, hugely. So when I had to tell the girls, as you can imagine, it was the worst conversation of my life. Like, it was the worst.
Yes.
And I played it out in my mind, and I was trying to get information from everywhere as to what is the best way to do this. You know, I've never done this before. How do I do this well? How do I do this in a way that's not going to mess them up, or they're not going to be confused? And I love, I mean, the book that you wrote, some of the things in there that really were useful, very, very useful, I thought, when looking at it. I mean, I'd have loved to have had something like this, because I didn't. And I was cobbling it together myself. But some of the things in there were the things like the heart-stopping thing and the very literal things that you talk about in the book. Because for children, I mean, as adults, it's not tangible, right? To have somebody die that you love, that's really confusing. Our brains can barely compute it. So for children, that's even more confusing. How does that make sense? And I found with my girls that you're constantly answering those questions. And so what I love about the book, and I know you've mentioned it in here as well, but it's things like in here where you've said, you know, can Luca come back to say hello and then go back again to the sky? Those were things that I really wanted to make sure the girls weren't hanging around waiting for something like that to happen. Now, I appreciate that everybody has different value systems when it comes to what happens next. And with my girls, I left it completely open to them. Whatever you believe is what is the reality, because none of us really know whatever our adult ideas about it are. And so for me, it would have been helpful to give them lots of different resources rather than just me, mum, having those conversations, where give them lots of different options of what could be next and answers to some of the questions that they have. Because children's questions, as you know, when it comes to death, are endless. They're endless. And and sometimes as the adult, especially if you're a grieving adult, at some point you want to go read the book or watch the thing or have another conversation with somebody else so you can get some respite. So things like this are, and in a child-friendly way, are really invaluable in those grieving stages.
Thank you. That's wonderful feedback for us, and this is why we've done this book. I mean, this is to aid conversations. It's for the charity. 100% of the profits go to the charity to continue our work with Cuddle Cots and supporting families. The book is available in libraries. It will be distributed UK-wide as and when we get funding to be able to do that. And our aim, like I said, is to have it in all primary schools. But as a family, you can purchase it from the Luca Foundation website. Thank you.